Hello, Patriots, and welcome back to the Patriot Dad channel. Today, a new interview with Tom MacDonald dropped, given by respectfully Xavier from PragerU. I've really enjoyed all of the interviews so far with Tom, so I look forward to reacting to this one. Let's get it pulled up and get right to it, shall we? All right, let's go.
The music industry is as close to criminal as you can possibly get without going to prison.
Your rapper that you're listening to is talking about having Percocets in Abu Dhabi, but you're in a library in Chicago. It's like, be so for
And that's
real.
a much better place to be.
It is. So how do you feel about the cultural appropriation allegations?
I mean, f you.
Tom MacDonald drops facts about their terrible influence of mainstream rap. Yeah, guys, overall, rap music just seems awful. You see the culture and the community that comes out of this mainstream rap, the destruction and the havoc that it is reaping on the communities around them, the videos of people with Glock switches, and all kinds of other violent nonsense, guys. Drugs, women, weapons. Like, it's just not a good look.
Hey everyone, I'm Xavier DeRusso from PragerU, and I'm here with recording artist, singer, and rapper Tom MacDonald. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored.
Good.
Thank you for stopping by today. You're here to film a Stories of Us episode. How's that
Absolutely.
going?
It was a blast. There was some good stories. There's a little bit of tears in there. It was a big one. Big one. It's pretty hard to go through my life story without shedding a tear, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, today we won't be, too heavy. It's going to be lighthearted because you already told the full story. I can't wait to see that Stories of Us episode. I am hoping I can get a little sneak peek, though. Did you talk about your wrestling career?
I think we did talk about wrestling a little bit.
You did.
I mean, it's pretty hard to go from birth to present day with wrestling was.
Oh, this is actually one of his wrestling matches. I don't think we've ever seen this before. Yeah, tough to go from born to where we are now without talking about wrestling at all. I mean, it's part of his life, guys. He was a semi-pro or a pro wrestler. Makes sense. I've never seen this footage before, though.
Such a huge part of my life. So there's definitely some like spandex stories and stuff in there for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
What made you walk away from that?
Man, the pro wrestling business is even more political than the political game. It's a difficult business. So bad politics combined with accumulated injuries, it was just time for me to go somewhere and do something else where I didn't have to get hit with steel chairs and put through tables and stuff,
Fair.
That makes sense. Like that has to be hard on your body, guys. You hear the stories from Jake the Snake Roberts and all these people where they're just abusing pain pills and all kinds of stuff, guys. All kinds of stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's like a little known fact about me. I'm actually a huge diehard WWE fan.
No
I
kidding.
watch twice a week. So we're basically cousins. We're just alike. We're blonde. We're anti-woke.
We're black.
We're black. Yes, we are very black. I'm actually part Chinese too.
Oh, sick.
Yes,
Sick.
learned that. Best thing to happen to me. But it is also full circle that I get to sit down with you now, because about 5 years ago, I was a whole hater because I was woke and I was so triggered by your song, People So Stupid.
It's because that song was about you at that point in time.
Oh, I mean, yes, he just admitted that he was a progressive 5 years ago, so that it was really written about him. Like, that's funny and maybe mildly uncomfortable. I don't know. What do you think?
It was Xavier So Stupid.
Yeah.
It applied. Every
Yeah.
single bar applied to me.
Good. I'm glad. I really enjoy when my music reaches the people who need it most when they need it most. It also makes me really happy to hear that it's pissed somebody off.
hmm
That's like, my mission objective is to uplift and empower. But as sort of like a happy little byproduct, if I can trigger a bunch of morons along the way, that's a bonus.
I don't know how you would say it any better than that, guys. That is apparently the goal of all of his music, and he does it so well. You can look at any of our reactions. You can look at any of his music. If you don't want to watch our reactions, that's fine. Go watch his original music. They're great. Go watch them. They're hilarious. They don't trigger me at all because I ain't one of them. But if you are, you might be triggered.
Yeah. I always say the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off.
Absolutely.
So you need to hear it. And I needed to at the time. And I'm not going to lie, the part that, and I've obviously I think differently nowadays, but I remember watching it and I was like, how dare this white man sit here and appropriate my culture as if I've ever written a rap and then diss me on it.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the cultural appropriation allegations?
I mean, you. Like, you know, people always say, like, you know, like hip hop, it's our house and you're a guest in our house, and
No, he's better at it than you. That's why you're mad.
like I never asked anybody to enter anybody's house. I built my own house across the street, and I'm gonna stand in the front yard and yell out the windows all I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
I love it. I was about to tell you, you can be blunt. And then I thought about it. I'm like, he doesn't need me to tell him. You know, I mean, that's so true. I often wonder why people try to gatekeep out of race. But then at the same time, it's like, let's say that no white people ever wanted to participate in listening to rap or making rap music or anything like that. Then people would be like, oh, well, you think you're too good to be a part.
Exactly. I was just about to say that, but I let him finish his thought. Yeah, guys, you're going to lose either way. They're going to hate you either way. It doesn't matter. They're going to find a reason to not like you. They're going to find a reason to divide along whatever rules or lines they need to. It's all about dividing and conquering. It's all about tearing somebody else down so you can feel better about your lack of progress or yourself. Guys, that kind of negativity, that kind of external locus is dumb.
Of our culture. So then it's like, you really can't win. But I am wondering too, it's like when you are hearing all the stereotypes where they try to categorize all of you as Eminem. What do you think of that?
honestly, it doesn't really bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that as a compliment. In my opinion, I don't think him and I see eye to eye politically. I don't think we'd ever going to be best friends or anything like that. But
Yeah, you would be correct.
all that aside, he's one of the greatest rappers, white or black or yellow or brown or whatever, to ever exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guys, it's about merit. He's one of the best rappers, period. Meritocracy, merit-based, right? He's one of the best. Doesn't matter about any of this other crap, race, gender, none of it. So to be compared to him is a compliment. I agree.
So, I mean, there's worse things to be compared to.
Mm-hmm.
People compare me to Macklemore sometimes, and I'm not too fond of that.
Ooh, yeah, that's way worse.
So, I mean, I'll take the Eminem thing. I mean, it's just, you know, Eminem's a white rapper. I'm a white rapper. If that's the line you want to draw, if surface level is as deep as you're gonna get, I mean, by all means.
That looked like a F off. Yeah, guys, that's all it is. It's surface level. There's no thought. There's no depth. There's nothing to it. It's just a stupid take.
Fair enough. Do you feel like there is systemic racism behind the scenes as a white rapper in the hip hop world?
I'm
Behind the scenes.
probably not the best person to ask about that because I make my own beats. I release my own music independently, from the song concepts to the beat production to the recording to the mixing and mastering to designing the t-shirts to distribution of the music to marketing, music videos. Like, it's all me and my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So unless I wake up tomorrow and my girlfriend's a racist and doesn't like me, I'm never going to have to deal with that because I built my own ecosystem outside of the music industry. So there's gatekeeping everywhere, and we talked about it in the Stories of Us at length and in depth. But, you know,
Yeah, guys, you can look at the 2 parts that we did on Billboard and the gatekeeping from the data collection companies. You can look at those in the corner there. It's crazy. Like he points out, they build everything from the ground up themselves. Him and Nova do all of it. He has other family members that help out too, but yeah, guys, they're not dependent on or beholden to one of these record companies or labels or distributors or any of that. They did it themselves, and that's a lot of freedom. It's a lot of work too, but gives you a lot of freedom.
being independent is such a blessing because I get to avoid a lot of this stuff that maybe mainstream white rappers, Macklemores and guys like that, I get to avoid a lot of the stuff that I'm sure that they've gone through.
You know, with the gatekeeping, does it get draining at a certain point where I feel like a lot of artists who speak out against the grain, or they're willing to not play all the industry, like play by the industry rules, I should say, they end up getting blackballed from the Grammys. They don't get invited to certain places. And they always say like, oh, I don't care. I don't need them anyway. But I feel like as an artist, more often than not, you don't believe that when you say that. You actually do wish that you could be getting the recognition that your work and the quality of your work deserves. How do you find that balance?
Really comes down to like how you define sort of like success and like what your goals are in this thing, because we talked about this in Stories of Us as well, but there's artists out there, and I'm friends with some of them, who like their gauge, their measuring stick is like, I want to go to the parties and I want to walk the red carpet and I want to get the award and I want to shake hands with these guys and be on the radio and do this and do that.
That seems like the wrong motivations to do anything in life, guys. Wanting attention, wanting awards and accolades. Like it just sounds so empty. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you rather just be in Tom's position, or would you rather be in one of their positions, going to the parties and all that empty crap? Like I just don't understand it.
And like, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, if that's what your goal is, then who am I to, you know, to tear that down?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like, I want to make sure my girlfriend's taken care of. I want to make sure my family's taken care of. I want to make sure my mom, my dad, my sister, my dogs, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband. I want to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
That's some real man stuff right there, is what that is. That's your job. Provision, protection.
And we're all good. And I've done that. I've turned down more deals than I can even remember at this point. I've gone head to head with the biggest that the industry has to offer, and I've beat them. Taylor Swift, Eminem, Drake, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I've beat them all on the Billboard charts.
Mm-hmm.
Just because my name's not up on the Billboard on Sunset and my music video's not playing in Times Square doesn't mean anything.
Right.
When it comes down to it, that's all marketing, and at the end of the day, the numbers aren't going to lie. And I've beat them tons of times.
Yeah.
So like, to me, it's like, these are people that my best friends I've had in my life for 10, 15 years. I don't know these people. These are strangers to me. I don't need their validation. I don't need an award. I don't need a handshake. I don't need a photo with you at a party. I literally don't care. I'm good now. 7 years ago, I lived in Crenshaw. I was plugging my fridge into my neighbor's house when they cut our power off because we couldn't pay the power bill. I come from having nothing. I just don't ever want to go back to having nothing.
And guys, you see that in a lot of people that are very successful, whether it's in music and art, whether it's in fighting or anything. It's that coming from nothing and having been at rock bottom and having that fear of going back drives so many successful people, guys. I'm not saying go get broke and go bankrupt and whatever to get that motivation. You can get it somewhere else, but you do see a lot of very successful people coming from very little.
But what I've got now, I'm cool with. I literally, actually, I swear to you, on God, I do not give a shit. I'm good.
I believe you 100%.
There may be a lot of rappers and artists out there who say, "Oh, I don't need I don't need the award and I don't need this," and secretly they're writing notes of affirmation and sticking them to their mirror. You're gonna get a Grammy one day. That's not me.
Mm-hmm.
It's never gonna be me. I could quit tomorrow and I'm good.
You know, I can attest that I know for a fact that you've been beating out some of these top artists on the charts, because I will never forget when Facts came out with you and Ben Shapiro and you were competing with Meg.
Guys, if you want to see that, I've got a review on that one also. Really good. Really good. And the Roseanne Barr rap. Oh, so good.
The Stallion. And honestly, I think that's a perfect example of an artist that is truly marketing, because if you really break down the numbers, a lot of artists like Meg the Stallion or Cardi B or even Travis Scott, I've seen their numbers can very much be traced to streaming farms and just excessive PR campaigns and just a lot of corruption that between Billboard and the radio industry and all these different elements of the industry. They're making it seem like everybody cares about these artists. But then the artists that are actually popular, who are independent, who don't have those huge systems behind them, it's like they're the ones that are actually building a core audience and making real progress and success and quality music. So I do want to ask you, like, are you familiar with the Spotify streaming machines and how?
I feel like he's watched the two-parter about Billboard screwing them over just based on those comments. But guys, definitely check those out. They're good.
How these artists are manipulating the charts.
Oh yeah, like we spoke about this in depth on Stories of Us, but these streaming platforms have relationships with the record labels.
Yep.
It's really easy to have 800 million monthly listeners,
Yeah.
when Universal has an agreement with Spotify that every time artist A, B, or C drops a single, it's going to go on the 400 biggest playlists on earth, and we're just going to blow up that song. And like, you know, the stream farming thing is like a big claim, and I feel like it's a big enough claim that like you have to be able to prove that if you're going to say these guys are faking their streams. But even beyond outright faking the streams, when the record label that you're signed to has a relationship with Apple Music, has a relationship with Spotify, has a relationship with Tidal, and these companies are putting you on the biggest playlist that they have to offer, do you really have fans at that point? Or are these people just passively listening to your stuff through a playlist that they've subscribed to on their Spotify? You know?
The answer is no, you don't. And yes, that's what you're getting. They're not real fans. They're not people going out and seeking things. It's not like Tom here, where he puts out a new thing like this interview today, and people are already making content about it. People are already watching it because they're seeking it out. It's not being shoved in our face. It's not being provided to us. We seek these things out because we like them. It's organic. It's very different.
You know what I mean? Like if all of those artists were forced to, and there's exceptions, obviously. People like Kanye West, diehard fan base. If he activates his supporters to do something, they're going to do it. Tyler, the Creator. If he activates his people, they're going to do it. But a lot of these guys, these huge, renowned, world famous artists, if the criteria to go on the Billboard charts, if we took streaming out of the equation and we took radio out of the equation, because every time your record spins on the radio, that carries a lot of weight on the Billboard charts. It's weighted heavier than streams, and it's weighted heavier than downloads. If you wipe out radio play and you wipe out streams, and now that artist is forced to have their fans physically purchase their music on iTunes, not passively stream it from a playlist, you have to go to iTunes and you have to spend 99 cents and you have to download the song to your phone. If you put those world famous artists in that arena with people like me and others like me, that will show you the true size of their fan base.
And I doubt they could keep up, because you see Tom topping the rap charts fairly frequently. Just saying. Almost every song he puts out, boom, right to the top.
And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be able to compete.
Right.
Because we have real fans that have an appetite for something that the mainstream music industry is not providing. They don't want this over-manufactured, overproduced, made-up, fake bullshit. They want something real and authentic and genuine. They don't have real fans. They have passive listeners. So if you put us both on a level playing field, and the record labels back up and they're not interfering, and it's just straight up, it's you and me, and it's whoever's going to get the most people to actually physically download their song. Now listen to it on a playlist, not hear it on the radio driving to work, download the song. They're going to lose.
I'm like a Billboard trivia nerd, so like I pay attention every week to when the charts come out, and it frustrates me because Billboard just keeps increasing the amount of weight that radio has on the position on the charts. So there are songs that nobody, and I mean nobody is even streaming, nobody is listening to, nobody is paying attention to.
But they'll get put on the radio because the marketing agency or the label will get them there.
And it's been in the top 10 for 30 weeks. And then you look at why, it's like all their numbers are so minuscule, except the radio, the weight of the radio and the payola that we know is going on behind the scenes. So it's interesting to be able to talk to someone that's in the industry, but also independent, to be able to see it from the outside, because I feel like a 360 deal is basically selling your soul at this point.
Man, I know people that are on 360 deals, and I know what I'm making, and I've asked them what they're making, and the music industry is as close to criminal as you can possibly get without going to prison. Like it's unfortunate because, you know, we're all artists and we all have these dreams of the whole world hearing our songs and stuff. And when you're in a position of power in the music industry, at a record label or whatever, it's very, very, very easy to take advantage of and exploit a dreamer. So, you know,
that is unfortunate. It sounds like he's saying that the industry takes advantage of these people a lot, that they're probably not making the money they should be based on what they're doing, but that the record labels are probably taking a good chunk of it and just exploiting them. Like, hey, come onto our label, we'll put your stuff out, but then they take a huge cut. That sucks.
That's why that's happening, man.
So people talk a lot about TikTok's impact on political issues, but how do you feel about TikTok's impact on the rap industry? Because a lot of people criticize that TikTok has made it to where people don't care about quality music anymore. People don't even make albums anymore. They just want a quick, catchy hit that is going to have 15 seconds for someone to dance to. And a lot of people have said that that's part of why the quality of music has dropped a lot in the last few years.
Never really thought about it, honestly, but I mean, TikTok is definitely having an impact. There's a TikTok chart on Billboard now, which
That's wild. But yeah, TikTok's having a very negative impact, guys. It's shortening attention spans. We saw it start with Vine. We saw it with all these short content stuff. TikTok is just brain rot, guys. It's brain rot. The fact that they added a Billboard chart for TikTok, oh, God, make it stop.
is relatively new. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like charts that can be impacted by things like TikTok, I feel like it primarily benefits mainstream
Yep.
and independent artists that have a message that runs parallel with the mainstream narrative.
Ah, yes, the politics of it, because TikTok is actually a huge political tool. So if you run afoul with their viewpoints, your videos get suppressed or you just get banned.
Because for an artist like myself, like TikTok's practically useless. Every
Yep.
time I have 1 million followers on TikTok, and every time I post a video, it gets 4,000 views. And it's because of what's being said in my music and the message that I'm talking about, and et cetera, et cetera.
4,000 views with a 1 million followers. That's wild. That's a crazy amount of suppression, guys, because he has pro America, pro whatever views that are not in alignment with TikTok. That's wild. 4,000.
I've been banned on TikTok like a dozen times, and my account just continually just like reappears like all of a sudden. And I've never like put too much stake in it or thought about it too hard, or it's already hard enough like making a song with a message that a lot of my songs have, and then getting that video to even serve on YouTube, that like, and like the ridiculous community standards on YouTube. Like if you have like a red cup in a video and you're at a party scene, YouTube's like, oh, you're inferring that you're consuming alcohol, and so you can't do that, and you can't have a firearm in the video, and you can't do this, and you can't do blood, and
Yep, all the curation and controls that they put on videos. Can't use too many bad words, can't use the wrong bad words, can't say the wrong thing about the wrong people, can't say the right things about the wrong people. Guys, the amount of control that YouTube takes is a little bit crazy. And it's probably why the green one's going to take over at some point, because they're more open when it comes to things. They're not as restrictive or censorious.
can't. So it's like I'm already like suppressing my own visual art to allow it to exist on this platform.
God, which is annoying. I do the same thing. I have to really tone down some of the things I want to say because I want to stay on the platform for now. But if I can build a big enough following on other ones, maybe I just won't care as much.
So I can reach people, and like that's already too much for me. That's already exhausting. So I can't even put any thought or energy into like, oh, what's a 30-second thing that I can do in this song that's going to make a bunch of 13-year-olds that, you know, identify as pufferfish on TikTok dance to it. Like I can't.
I really do appreciate that you have found truly the art form of putting messaging into your songs without it sounding gimmicky. So I feel like certain people that, and I'm not going to throw shade at anybody, but some people try to put either political messaging or just like anti-woke messaging into their songs, and it sounds so cringe.
Yeah.
Like, how is it that, is it just talent? It's like, is that just what it boils down to? Talent, being able to do it in a way that's so smooth? Because people will be sitting there dancing to your song, not even realizing that you're just destabilizing the government along the way.
Yeah, guys, which says a lot, right? That's huge, that people will just enjoy the beat. They won't even be paying attention to the lyrics. And like Tom says, he makes his own beats. So if somebody loves the beat enough where they're just, and they're not listening, and it's like, oh, he's like anti-government, pro this, pro that, anti that, like, ooh, politics, they don't agree, but man, they like that beat.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know, man. I think that like I'm really self-aware. Like I make cringy stuff all the time, and I'm like self-aware enough to be like, ugh, I gotta like, I can't say that way, or like I have to change how that's coming off, because yeah, it doesn't sit right with me. So like, I don't know, man. Like I was I was a musician who, I had this like real pivotal moment in my life where I had this like huge mental breakdown, and I got sober and and that sort of birthed the type of music that I'm making now. Because prior to what I'm doing now, I was making the same music that everybody else was making.
I'm actually wondering if any of that's online. I would be almost interested in listening to some of it just to see how far he's come, how much he's changed his style. So if anyone finds any, put it down in the comments or send it to the email address. All right. I want to see if we have any of his old stuff.
Cars, guns, clothes, girls, money, houses, like whatever. So like that music was devoid of any valuable message at all. But in the absence of having a message, it had to sound good. Like I had to learn how to make music that sounded good. So,
I mean, that's probably good though. It got him experience making good sounding music. So now he has good lyrics and messages with it. It's even better.
I think that's probably why it might come off a little different, because before I was doing what I'm doing now, I was making a completely different style of hip hop that was like pleasing to the ear and you could like nod your head to or dance to or whatever. And then when emulating what was going on in those songs, emulating it in my real life and drinking and partying and valuing the wrong things, et cetera, when that like almost like killed me and destroyed me, I had to figure out like, okay, I no longer want to make music that's going to do to other people what living this music has done to me. So what do I do? So I talk about the things that I speak about with my friends and my family, and I talk about stuff that's going to empower people instead of tear people down. And
yeah, and we've heard this before, right? We heard this on a couple of the other interviews that he's done, is that during that huge anxiety attack / alcohol / whatever 9-month ridiculousness that he went through, he evolved, he changed, he realized he could not encourage people to do the same thing that damn near killed him. It makes sense. And I think we're all better for it. I'm sure he didn't like having to go through it. I'm sure no one does. But the fact that he did made him who he is today, made his music what it is today. I can respect that.
And make music that's giving people information instead of reinforcing poor moral standard. And like with the sort of birth of the new message-driven music I make, it's still got to be palatable and digestible and whatever. Yep. And I think I gained that skill set when I was making the prior music. So it's just like both of those things smashed together, just kind of find a happy, symbiotic relationship there.
I love that you say that about wanting to change the messaging that you're putting out to your audience, because I look at a rapper like Future and it makes me so mad how he's constantly talking about drugs he's never done and guns he's never held, and then he gets his followers and his audience, and not even just Future, but it's pretty much an industry standard at this point to popularize lifestyles that you are not living. You have these rappers out here talking about doing insane amounts of drugs and talking about ways of literally basically killing themselves, and yet they're going home living these conservative lifestyles. They're going home to their wife and kids, and they're not participating in any of this stuff that they're talking about.
Sure.
Do you think that that is a toxic industry standard that needs to shift, or do you?
Yes. That's a silly question. Of course it is. It's destroying entire communities. That kind of thought process, that kind of lifestyle that you're encouraging is destroying community. Of course it needs to change.
Do you think that that's something that's going to keep being pushed out?
These guys...
Oh, it'll keep getting pushed out. It's a marketing thing. It's selling a lifestyle. It's going to keep going, but it needs to stop.
Guys know their demographic. Like the biggest rappers in the world, they're not dumb. You don't get to be in a position like that if you're an idiot.
Some of them do. Cardi B's not that smart.
She knows what's going on, though. You talk to some people and they say Cardi's a fierce businesswoman.
Really?
Yeah. I talked to somebody 2 days ago that said that. Bought a car from this guy. Anyway, that's another story. They may be dumb, but they know who they're making music for.
You only got to be smart in 1 or 2 areas, guys. That's it. You only need to be smart in 1 or 2 of the areas that matters to you. It doesn't matter how dumb you are in the other things if you're making your money in the thing you're smart in.
Recognize what the demographic is. And like 5 years ago, the demographic of hip hop was like 14 to 21-year-old white American youth. So as long as there is that demographic of people who think that what they're talking about is cool, they're going to continue making the music. It's like it's a moneymaker. I think what's like most important is like where I went wrong was because I was young and impressionable, and I heard these people talking about the guns and cars and drugs and alcohol and all that stuff. I just assumed, because I was young and stupid, that this was all legitimate and this was real and they're living their life that way, and I like these people, so I'm gonna live my life that way, and it almost ended my life. So
Yep.
I think, like, I don't know if the answer is like there has to be some sort of culture shift or paradigm shift in the culture, and we have to stop making this type of music. I think, like, the most important thing is for the parents of the kids that are listening to this music need to, like, smarten up their kids to the fact that, like, hey, what you're listening to, you understand that's not real life, right?
Yeah, that's just marketing, bro. That ain't real. Don't try and actually live that way. That's real dumb. That's the job of the parents, but there's also a lot of single parent households out there now. So it's even more challenging, but you got to make sure to raise your kids with good values, guys. You got to point out truth. Truth is so important. Don't let them live in a lie. Make sure they understand truth.
Like, these guys are talking about this stuff, but they're not living that way. That's what my dad did for me.
Yeah.
When I first got, like, my first Eminem CD, and I'm playing that at 20 volume, like, my dad pulled me aside and said, like, hey, this is a very talented guy, and he makes really cool music, and I understand why you like it. But you understand the stuff that he's saying about hitting women and doing drugs and drinking. You understand that's not cool, right? And, like, he made me, you know, stopped me to make me think, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. So I think that, like, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is to the kids that are listening to this stuff need to have an understanding that it's like, if you walk into a movie theater and you see some guy get his head cut off,
Yeah, it's a movie. It's fake. It's not real.
that guy's going home to his family with a big paycheck, and that's what he does on screen, on film. That's
Yep.
not how he's living his life. You know, the Breaking Bad dude, not a meth dealer, actor.
That's actually a really good comparison. Yeah, Brian Cranston, not a meth cook. He's an actor. He does it on the screen, goes home to his family or whatever. Like, not real.
So I think that's just, like, a really important thing to, like, teach these kids. Like, hey, this is who this guy is in his songs, and that's what he does in his music videos. That's not his real life. And if you act like him in his music videos and him in his music, your real life is going to end up in a real bad way.
Yeah, you're going to be in prison. You're going to be dead. It's just going to end very, very badly for you. Don't try and live like actors and musicians say they are or pretend to. Good advice.
That's the best way, like, is to be preventative, because I don't think it's going to change. So as long as parents take some responsibility, or, you know, whatever, if your buddy's, like, drinking cough syrup on a Friday night because he thinks it's cool, like, pull your buddy over and be like, bro,
It's not cool.
stupid move.
Yeah.
Like, you know why people started drinking cough syrup? Not because they're big, rich, famous rappers, because they had no money and they were living in a poverty zone and they couldn't afford liquor and they started abusing stuff. I think it's just, like, important to just, like, smarten kids up and give them the information. And if that isn't enough, then, I mean,
Yeah, it's like you have to stop being so impressionable at a certain point. It's like,
Yeah, but that's part of why they market so much of this stuff to the youth, guys. Is because they are still impressionable. It wouldn't do them any good to market it to people that aren't, right? So, like, I get it. That's just their audience. And they pick that audience intentionally because they know they're impressionable.
yes, I get it. Your rapper that you're listening to is talking about having Percocets in Abu Dhabi, but you're in a library in Chicago. It's like, be so for
and that's
real.
a much better place to be.
It is. And it's like, and I'm not a prude when it comes to music. Like, I listen to all my little ratchet degenerate music too. I love my degenerate music, but that doesn't mean I'm out being a degenerate. To me, it's just alarming how there's such a push for it, because I do hear certain rappers talk about how they want to shift their subject matter.
Yeah, guys, I used to listen to Cottonmouth Kings. I did absolutely zero drugs in high school. Zero. I've hit a weed vape pen once in my life, and that's it. Not interested. Just not what I want to do with my life.
But it's like the label
But I still liked the music.
executives don't really give them that leeway. And I feel like right now, especially in Diddy's America, everybody's looking at who is, like, where is this power structure coming from? Why is the industry so determined to not only destroy their audience, but their artists and their audiences are both getting harmed by all of this.
I think the best way to be immune to the poisonous effects or the influential effects from the music is having the knowledge and just understanding what you're listening to. I think you can keep yourself pretty safe. I feel like and I said this next door too, and a lot of people say, oh, you're a conspiracy guy or like whatever, but
Hey, Alex Jones has been right more times than he hasn't. Just saying.
I feel like the music industry, the mainstream media, the government, and whoever's behind that all work in like tandem. I think they all have a message.
I mean, they flooded the inner cities with crack. They've experimented on African Americans. They've done all kinds of things, man. The government has done awful, awful things to all kinds of people. I wouldn't put it past them at all to be running the rap game. I wouldn't put it past them at all.
And an agenda, and the kids that the music reaches, like they don't watch like the news. They're not going to listen to like some guy on TV in a suit with white hair, 60 years old. Kid doesn't give a shit about that. They listen to Future. They listen to Cardi B. This is just my personal feelings, but I feel like they promote valuing really expensive high-end brand name clothes is because they want people broke. And I think that they talk so much about alcohol and drugs is because they want people docile and dumb
and dependent and broke.
And overall, they want people weak and f***ed up, and it's a lot easier to control a bunch of people that rely on you, that rely on the system, or that are drunk or addicted or broke or valuing the wrong things. It's a lot easier to manage a population in peril than it is to uplift and empower everyone. And then you got all these free thinkers standing around that aren't on drugs, that are eating good food, that are healthy, that are, you know, that have the wherewithal to think for themselves. That's a difficult group of people to keep control of.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn, boy, spitting facts. That's not conspiracy theory. That sounds like it's probably true. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think all of the biggest industries are sort of this conglomerate, and they control different people in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And the music industry is part of that. And the CEOs and the record labels are part of that. And they have the music that they want to push, and they want to influence people in a negative way. And that's what it is.
And Bob's your uncle. Wow, guys. That was great. Great final words there. I completely agree. I think that a lot of these industries are controlled and manipulated. I want to see if they change it all now that USAID funding and Doge is stripping so much money out of a lot of these NGOs and charities. What do you guys think? Thank you to those of you that made it to the end of the video. I greatly appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel, please go over to coffeebrandcoffee.com. Check out their selection of coffees, teas, and cocos. And when you go to checkout, use our channel's promotion code. That way, a little bit of your purchase comes back to us so that we can bring you a little bit more content in the future. If you want to support the channel for free, you can like this video, share the video with friends and family, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video. You can head on over to the Discord and join the conversations going on there and interact with me directly. You can also come on over to X and follow me at PatriotDad_USA. I have a weekly space with the Questionable Gardener Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, as well as a weekly news update show Saturday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. You can interact with me at either one of those. And if you have a recommendation for a video or topic or song or anything else you want to see on the channel, please make sure to leave it in a comment below or send it to the email address that was displayed earlier in the video. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves, and God bless. Go ahead and check out one of the links on the screen now to either subscribe to the channel and see the rest of the videos of the channel, or one of the carefully selected videos that you may wish to see that YouTube has used its algorithm to select for you.